Hello students, welcome to ShirtBack Academy. Today we're going to be doing our final coding lesson in Module 1, Sequencing. In this coding lesson we're going to be learning how to build a Flappy game. I'm excited to try it out. For this lesson, again, you'll need to be on the code.org website. Once you're there on the website, we're going to click on Learn in the top left corner. We're going to go down to grades K to 5, click on the Learn More box there. On the next page, we're going to scroll down just a little bit to Course C. Click there. And we're going to be doing exercise 15, Build a Flappy Game. From there, we're going to click on the number 1 for our introduction video.
Hey everyone! One of the most exciting things about computer science is that a computer program can be interactive. Anytime someone clicks, taps, or types on a computer or phone, that generates an event. And there's some code that decides what to do when an event occurs. For example, you could have an event handler that says, when the mouse is clicked, play a sound. Let's try an activity to see how it works. Have you ever heard of the game Flappy Bird? By using event handlers, you can learn how to program your very own custom version of Flappy Bird. The code you'll write involves dragging and dropping blocks that represent commands for the computer. Drag and drop programming is the easiest way to learn. It's even how university students start learning to code. But under the hood, each of these blocks is represented by real code. If you take a look at the workspace, there are some green blocks that are filled in for you. These are event handlers. If you want the bird to flap when you click the mouse, you can do that by attaching the flap block to the appropriate event handler. And now in your game, whenever you click the mouse, the bird will flap. In each puzzle in this activity, we'll introduce new types of events as green blocks on the workspace, and you can decide the appropriate block to add in response to those events. When you see a drop-down arrow like this, that means you can change the settings, like what sound to play when Flappy hits the ground. In the final puzzle, you'll be able to create your own game and share it with your friends. Have fun!
Now that we've watched our introduction video, let's click on Continue, and we're going to begin our coding lesson on Puzzle 2. Here in Puzzle 2, our instructions are telling us to attach the flap a normal amount block to the when click event. Then press Run. Remember, our green blocks are the events and our blues are the commands. Let's click OK and let's begin our first puzzle. To do this puzzle, we're going to drag over a flap a normal amount. We connect it to our when click, and we're also going to bring over a play sound. You'll notice that when you click on the arrows in one of the commands, a drop-down box appears that gives you the ability to choose different choices. Throughout the game, as you're doing the levels, you can choose different sounds or features depending on what you want to do. Here for the first one, we've just chosen to flap a normal amount and to play a wing sound. When we click Run, we're going to use our mouse or our touchpad to click the bird to make him flap. And when we do, we should also hear a sound. Great job! You could hear the flap sound as I was clicking for the bird. Let's move on to Puzzle 3. In Puzzle 3, our instructions are telling us that the when run event will allow us to start our game. When we play the game, we need to flap to the target to complete our level. When you're looking at your workspace, you need to make sure that you distinguish between the when run and when click. When run will execute commands at the very beginning of the program. When click is an event. It will do something when we click on our mouse. I'm going to bring over a play sound and a set speed. I'm going to set the speed to normal. What this will do is when we start our program, you will hear a wing sound at the very beginning, and it'll also set the speed for our bird in this game level to normal. When we click, we will still hear the flapping sound. You can see our speed is normal, and we hit our target. Great job. You'll notice that we did not hear the wing sound throughout the lesson. We only heard it at the very beginning. That's because we had it connected to the when run. Let's hit continue and move on to puzzle 4. Here in puzzle 4, we have a new event that says when we hit the ground. When we hit the ground, we want the game to end. We see right now we have a couple commands already in place. We have a set normal speed and flap a normal amount. They are connected to the when run and when click blocks. We're going to bring over a play wing sound to the click and an end game command to when we hit the ground. Now when we click inside of our game, our bird will flap, but now we will also hear the wing sound. When we hit the ground, the game should end. Let's try it out. When we start, we can hear our flaps. And when we hit the ground, our program ends. Good job. Let's click on continue and move on to puzzle 5. Here in puzzle 5, we're adding some new events. The new event we've added is when hit an obstacle. We need to figure out what we want our game to do when our bird hits one of the obstacles. Our instructions tell us that when Flappy hits an obstacle, we want him to crash. What should we do with the when hit obstacle event? We're going to bring over an end game command and connect it to when hit an obstacle. When Flappy hits an obstacle such as a pipe, the game should end. Let's see if it works. Up, reset, and run. Oh, Flappy hit the pipe, and the game ended. Great job. Our command worked. Let's click on continue and move on to puzzle 6. Here in puzzle 6, we've added a new event. Our new event is when we pass an obstacle. Every time we pass an obstacle, we want Flappy to score a point. Let's see if we can figure it out. We need to add one block to the when pass obstacle event to score a point. From our toolbox, we can find the score point command. We're going to add that and also bring over a play wing sound so that we can hear the bird when we click. We're also going to change our speed. I'm going to change our speed to very slow. So now when we take a look at our workspace, we can see a few extra things. We have our when pass obstacle event, and we also added a new speed. Let's run our program and see what happens. We can still hear our Flappy flying through the air, but he's moving really slow. You can see what a difference changing the setting speed really makes on our game. And as we got through the obstacle, Flappy scored his point. Great job. You can see that our game is starting to get some cool features. Let's click continue and move on to puzzle 7. Here in puzzle 7, our instructions are telling us to click the down arrow inside of the flap a normal amount block. They want us to pick a different flapping power. They want to see if we can still score a point after we make Flappy either have to flap smaller or larger amounts. We're going to change our speed first back to normal. And now what we're going to do is when we click, we're going to flap a small amount. So we've changed 2 settings. Now we're going to go over and click run and see what happens with our program. You can still hear our sounds. And we were able to successfully go through the puzzle. That was with a smaller flap. Let's click continue and move on to puzzle 8. Here in puzzle 8, our instructions are telling us to try changing the scene by attaching a block to the when run event. In our toolbox at the bottom, we see a new box called Set Scene. We're going to use that block to change the background of our program. We're going to drag it over and connect it to the when run. Then we're going to click on the drop down and pick a different background for your program. I'm going to pick underwater. Now when I hit run, the background to my program should change. And you can see it's changed to the ocean. And everything else still works. As we're going through our program, we're scoring some points. Oh, that was pretty good. You could see that by changing the background, it made a completely different game and level. Great job. Let's click Continue and move on to Puzzle 9. Here in Puzzle 9, they're telling us to set our background to random. Random means it's just going to pick one by chance. What we can do is in our Set Scene command, we're going to change that to a different one. We're also going to add a couple new features. We're going to change it so that when we pass an obstacle, the scene changes as well. And we're going to set it to random. Every time we pass an obstacle, the background's going to change. I'm also going to bring over a different setting. We're going to change Flappy up a little bit. Right now he's a yellow bird, but we're going to change his character. What should we choose? Tough choice. I'm going to pick a unicorn. So now when we hit run, you can see that our game has changed. The scene is underwater and our Flappy is now a unicorn. Let's hit run and see what happens as we pass the obstacles. You can see every time that we pass the pipes, now the background changes. The new setting in our game worked great. All the other settings are working well too. New record! Oh, great job. Well done. Our game is becoming pretty good. And it's fun to play. 2 more puzzles. Let's finish strong. Here our instructions want us to change it up. Instead of ending the game when Flappy hits an obstacle, it wants us to reset the score to 0. How can we do that? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take away the end game command and put it in the trash can. We want something different to happen. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring over the set score. What this will allow us to do is every time we hit an obstacle, we can set the score to a certain number. Now when we hit run, we still have the same settings as before. As we're going through, we're scoring points. We're getting pretty good at this game. Oh no, we hit an obstacle. You can see our score went back to 0. Great job. Let's click Continue and go on to our last puzzle, Puzzle 11. Here in Puzzle 11, you can create your own game. We've gone through several of the visuals and a lot of the different command and event types. After you've finished the game, you can also share it on your phones with some of your friends if you'd like. Let's create our own game. I'm going to change a couple of the settings. The first thing I'm going to add is I'm going to set a new kind of obstacle. Instead of pipes, I'm going to choose a chimney. And I'm also going to change the gravity so that the gravity is now on a high level. I'm going to change my sound. I'm going to click run. You can see just from a couple changes, my game looks and sounds completely different. Great job. That will conclude this lesson, everyone. We thank you for following along today, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Keep coding.